Hello, I hope you're doing well. This is a video just giving my honest tips, tricks, and advice on recovering from an eating disorder. I know there's a lot of CBT therapy advice out there, but I've read a lot of articles and looked at a lot of resources, and some of it's been helpful, but there's some things that have helped me that I haven't necessarily seen online before. This is just what has helped me personally. And quick disclaimer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not any sort of authority on eating disorders. I am just someone who's in recovery from an eating disorder, and these are some things that have helped me, and I hope they can help you too. But eating disorders vary a lot from person to person, so they might not help you, or they might help you. If it doesn't apply, just no need to implement it. But yeah, I hope some of this advice can help you if you're struggling. All right, so my first bit of advice that has really helped me out is to go somewhere like a pool, a beach, a sauna, hot springs, something like that. And this is a really daunting idea for someone with an eating disorder who has any sort of body image issues, but you don't need to wear a swimsuit if you feel uncomfortable. You could go fully clothed. But it's just been really personally helpful for me to just see normal people existing in their bodies. A lot of the time when we see people who are not dressed in full attire, it's like a model in some sort of magazine or online, and a lot of those images are distorted and kind of change our perception of what the human body should look like. So just going out at a place where it's normal to not wear a lot of clothes and seeing that people come in all different shapes and sizes, and there are people there who are conventionally attractive but maybe have one or two things that you might also have that are classified as imperfections, and it's someone can have a not perfectly flat stomach and still be super attractive. That's cool to see, and it's just really nice to see people embody the body that they live in without trying to pose themselves or make themselves seem unnaturally perfect. So my next piece of advice is really only if you're pretty far into recovery and are weight restored, because it is related to exercise. But something that's been really helpful for me is doing a strength or skill-based sport. I got really into boxing, and that has just been very helpful in my recovery, and it might be helpful in yours too if you're at a place where you can exercise without it becoming compulsive or having a lot of feelings around that. A lot of people, when you first start recovery, you may be told to rest. This is just a side note, and that might be very stressful for you. So I just want to give a quick personal experience. In 2024, I was on bed rest in eating disorder recovery at a hospital for 2 months, and at the end of it, I actually ended up gaining muscle from bed rest, which, if you are put on bed rest and you have an eating disorder, you might have all these thoughts I'm just gonna, it's gonna be bad for me, but I did a strength test before and after, at the beginning of my hospitalization and after with the PT team there, and I had gained a lot of strength just from resting. So, quick side note, if your team is telling you to rest, you need to rest, and it will benefit you in the long run. If you try and exercise in a period where your team does not okay it, it's probably just going to hurt your body in the long run. Side note aside, seeing your body as something that can be powerful and can move in a way that isn't directly correlated with looking a certain way or being as small as possible. For me, it was extremely helpful. And a lot of the time when I'm having body image issues, I try to think of the things I love about boxing and how my body is a tool to do boxing with. So that's helped me a ton. And another side note, the program I do it with is called The Phoenix. And The Phoenix is an amazing resource. They provide free classes for people in recovery, or not just people in recovery, but people of all all backgrounds, and it's not recovery from eating disorder, it's actually recovery from substance abuse, but they let anyone join. I just came as a support person for someone else in substance abuse recovery and started going to the classes, and now I go on my own. It really doesn't matter what your background is, but they offer all sorts of free classes, and it's worldwide. So go check on the Phoenix website, which I will have linked in the description of this video, to see if there's any Phoenix classes near you. And it's not just exercise, though they offer a lot of exercise-related things. There's also art classes. There's just community gathering centers. They do community dinners, dance parties. I've seen like a big dog walking party. So it's just a really fun place to connect with people who are focused on kind of a positive outlook, or not even positive, just like recovery-focused outlook. Even if it might not be in the subcategory of eating disorder recovery, just recovery in general, it's been very helpful for me. My next piece of advice may be a bit controversial, but I think all of these have been so far. To get off social media, to get off eating disorder related social media, and this includes eating disorder recovery spaces. A lot of the times it's just gonna be pretty triggering no matter what it is. I either feel like eating disorder recovery content tends to cause unhealthy comparisons, kind of one size fits all ideas about food, about movement, about body size that just doesn't apply to everyone. Or you'll also find a lot of really awful comments. That's the main thing too. Even if you find content that is helpful, oftentimes you look in the comments and it's just a lot of people who are uneducated about eating disorders who are just saying very, very triggering things. So I tend to just avoid all of it. And it's kind of addictive, especially if you're in the first couple stages of recovery, because it's like all your mind is thinking about. But just trying to stay off all of that. If you feel the need, I would suggest looking at research studies that relate to recovery. That's been helpful for me. And if you don't like looking at research studies, there are lots of qualified professionals who post informational things online about recovery that don't necessarily have what I eat in a day, body pictures, stuff like that can unintentionally be very triggering. Another thing that has helped me a ton is community service. It's a great way to realize that you have value in the world and that you have a direct impact on people, and it has nothing to do with the size of your body. A lot of the times, eating disorders can be about gaining control, and it ends up being very counterproductive because you lose your control to the eating disorder, but you know that if you're watching this. And doing some community service can help you feel like you're gaining back control, you're helping influence the world in a positive way, and it helps add some meaning to your life, which I think is crucial in recovery. I think, personally, working with older and younger populations has been really helpful. Just thinking about, like, the brevity of life and how precious everything is helpful in recovery for me, but varies from person to person. Whatever you're interested in, I think it's a really great idea. And then this tip kind of ties into that tip, but making the work you do meaningful. Something that's just been so helpful in my recovery is the work that I do as a teacher. Just being around, young students. A lot of the times, I keep saying a lot of the times, sometimes eating disorders can be a way to act out age regression, to make yourself smaller, cognitively impaired due to malnourishment. This is not the case for every eating disorder, just to clarify. I know people get their feathers ruffled about that, but some eating disorders and being around actual children is just like, it makes me feel like I want to be strong. I want to be functioning at 100% for these kids. And I can't do that if I'm malnourished. I can't do that if I'm constantly thinking about food, my body, etc. So having that meaningful work makes you want to function at 100%, which means eating, which means being healthy, etc. Also being like a good role model for young children to grow up with positive self-image, with seeing people with realistic bodies, seeing people enjoy food. That's been very helpful for me as well. And something about eating disorders, no, I don't need to go on another tangent. This has been long enough. I don't even know if I'll cut that out. This is kind of just a stream of consciousness based off a loose script. Last 2 tips. Number 1, hobbies. I think anyone will agree. Hobbies that are not related to your body or movement or food are very helpful in recovery. Sometimes hobbies that are related to those things can be helpful too, like if you're really into baking or something, but just engaging with something that you find meaningful, you enjoy, can kind of take your mind off other things. That is helpful for a lot of people. And the last bit of advice is safe people. Finding people who you feel safe with to be your authentic self. And I just want to say something that came up for me while I was writing these notes is that you can have people in your life who you love, who are kind to you, who support you, who accept you, and you can still feel like not safe around them. A lot of the times, for me, this has been because I have preconceived notions about them, and honestly, because I like them so much that I want to impress them with a version of myself that isn't authentic to me. And a lot of times, eating disorders thrive off the shame around your authentic self. So being with people who allow you to be your authentic self without judgment, and again, someone could have that potential, but you just don't see them that way. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them or anything wrong with you. It just means, and I'm not saying you should not be around them. I'm just saying find those people who you genuinely feel you can be your 100% authentic self with, and just be around them. Just hang out with them. That's been very helpful for me. Lots of great people can help you realize there's a life outside your eating disorder. And finally, I just have some science-backed reminders that I kept telling myself throughout my recovery. And I just want to say, it's really great I feel like I've been in recovery long enough that I'm actually starting to see these play out in real life. And I just kept reminding myself of them, but I never thought they would actually come true. And as someone who's been through it, they do come true. If you keep on keeping on, don't, go back to those old behaviors. So the first reminder is, this shouldn't be a priority in recovery, but it did help me. So I'm just going to say it. Weight redistribution. It's been found that in recovery from a restrictive eating disorder, weight tends to gather around the midsection area, which can be very triggering for people with an eating disorder that's body image related. Kind of feels like your worst fear coming true, but the further you go in recovery, science has found that the body weight tends to redistribute evenly the longer you stay in recovery, and I've seen this, and I'm glad. Not that anyway. Second reminder is the longer that you're in recovery, the less intense your eating disorder voice will be in your head, the less you'll think about your body, the less you'll think about food, which seems counterintuitive at first because it's like, well, I'm eating more and it's theoretically becoming more uncomfortable with my body. Wouldn't I think about it more? But your brain does need nutrients to function, and the more nutrients you give it, the more optimally it will function. Which, another reminder, is that you will improve every aspect of your life through recovery, through proper nourishment. Your schooling will improve, your work will improve, your relationships will improve, because your brain kind of powers everything you do. And when you are not nourishing your brain properly, everything has issues with it. So, yeah, well, those are my tips and tricks for recovery. Hopefully some of them can help you. And, feel free to leave any tips, tricks you have in the comments. I can't think of anything else. I just want to say, that I'm here with you. Recovery can feel hard, it can feel daunting, it can feel almost impossible, and I was at a point with my eating disorder where I legitimately thought I would die and there was no way that I could recover. I thought I was one of those people where they're just too far gone. I read a bunch of studies about it. I was like people with end stage anorexia, people who are not going to ever get better. And I can't believe that was only like 8 months ago, because my life is completely different now. I feel like I couldn't imagine a future where I could just freely eat without counting every single measure that I could about the food, that I could live a life that didn't revolve around food and my body and worry. And my life has just, I can't describe the black and white difference between life before and after recovery. I would choose recovery 100% of the time. Sometimes I struggle with body image. Sometimes I struggle with food. It is so freeing to not be controlled by my eating disorder anymore. And that is possible for every single person who has an eating disorder, in my opinion. I think everyone can get to this point. I know some people have had eating disorders for their entire life and you feel like there's no way out, but I legitimately believe in you. I didn't think there was a way out for me, and I don't know how personal I should get on here. I was in the hospital for my eating disorder. Things were really, really bad. I'd been in and out of the hospital for the entire year of 2024 up to this point. And I remember they had the psychologist evaluate me, and they looked at me and said, "Do you think you want to recover? Do you genuinely think you want to keep living?" And before this point, I was lying to everyone to get out of everything. And at that moment, I said, no, there's no way. I would rather be dead than recover. And now I would rather be dead than relapse. So yeah, just keep on keeping on. It will end eventually. The pain will subside. The uncomfortability and recovery will subside. And yeah, I've been yapping for too long. I apologize. But anyway, I hope this helped. And I'm just doing a voice recording. I have no idea what video will be playing behind this. Probably just a compilation of random shots from my phone. So hope you enjoy that. And anyway, yeah. Just remember, you are beautiful, loved, an important human being. You deserve to be alive. You deserve to eat. You deserve to do everything that a human does. And yeah. Anyway, if you want any help, any advice, let me know. Yep. Okay. Have a great one. All right. Goodbye.